I saw his name and his date of birth and I was like, what? He's twice my age. He's 30 and I was 15 at the time when we got married. How could they do this to me? Like, even that is like a violation. You might as well, like, did they sell me to this man to have his way with a child? It was very, very frightening. He actually locked me in a kitchen. He put all the gas knobs on. My name's Rubie Marie, and at the age of 15, I was forced to marry a man twice my age. I've got a big family. I have brothers and sisters of 8. I've got an older sister who's 3 years older. She had a secret boyfriend. I also had a secret boyfriend. I was 15, she was 18. And these were people in our own community that everybody knows. Our community was very much so minorities in the Welsh city that we grew up in. So everybody knew each other. But when my sister made that decision to go to my father and ask him for hand in marriage, to get her married to this guy that she was dating, he said no. And he beat her really badly. So that was really unexpected. I mean, there was domestic violence between my mother and father anyway, but it was unexpected for him to take it out on the kids. And that's when it triggered my sister to elope from home. When she eloped from home, that's when the word shame comes in. Everyone's heard the word shame in these communities. Shame is a massive thing to the people that actually hold these honor codes high up on the hierarchy. It's like a reputation that affects everybody. It's not just immediate family. It's everybody in the community. Even if you're not related to them, it affects absolutely everybody. I describe the best way of, describing it is everyone's like FBI agents. Everybody knows your family's name. Everybody is like looking out for each other's family, and everyone sticks together. So when that happened, there was a lot of uproar. It's like as if our family brought shame to the whole community. They looked down upon us. And then all eyes turned on me because I had a secret boyfriend and they thought I was going to do the same. Even though I was 15, I was young, I was naive, just having a sweetheart boyfriend, I didn't think much of anything of it. It was them that thought, oh my gosh, she's going to do exactly the same, bring more shame to the community. And that's where a lot of secret meetings were happening in the house. And these meetings would take place after my father's work time. So my father owned a restaurant and all the extended male members would work there as well. So it was like family based business. And they would come like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and there was these meetings going on all like after my sister ran away, constantly. All I would hear is basically uproar of everybody shouting over each other, voice over voice. Couldn't really kind of grasp what was going on being said, but I did get the gist that it was about my sister. But then it was coming up to summer holidays, and that's when my father's demeanor changed. He became kind of calm, and he was just telling everybody, oh, we're going to Bangladesh for the 6 weeks holiday. I was like, yeah, I want to go, because it was a holiday to the other side of the world. And we very much so lived like in poverty. We didn't really go on trips, school trips, or away with the family. It wasn't like that at all, our upbringing. But my childhood was fun because I had so many brothers and sisters, so we were bouncing off each other. But we never went anywhere. So when that news was delivered to us, I was like, yeah, let's go. So we went. And when we came off the plane, it was exhilarating. And I really did enjoy the first month of being there. It was a holiday. But when it got to September, my father was like, well, we spent a lot of money coming here. We're going to stay here for longer. That made sense to me. And I was like, yeah, why not extend the holiday? Let's just stay. So I enjoyed the second month. And then the third month being there, that's when everyone started getting homesick. All the siblings were getting sick. The atmosphere is different. It's a hot country, and it was just getting too much for us. We asked our father, pleaded, we want to go home. Wasn't allowed. Come up to the 4th, 5th month, that's when everything started to spiral down, I would say. We were getting isolated. I mean, we lived in a mansion, yeah, and I say we lived in poverty in the UK, but there it's a developing country, so You know, my family were putting away money every single month, you know, to build this beautiful place for us to stay. And we lived in the city, and it was stunning, absolutely stunning. It was, the best way to describe it is like in Aladdin, you know, Princess Jasmine's in this beautiful place, but she can't go anywhere. She's not allowed out. And that's exactly how I felt. I wasn't allowed out of the perimeter. There was gates around the house. It was seen like if British girls or anything like that would, you know, like from other countries come into the city, or even go to the village or to whatever, you know, we have to be chaperoned, protected, guarded. And that's what it was like. And like I said, my first language is English. I didn't have anyone to speak to. So I was so isolated. I was becoming really, really depressed. And it just felt horrible. It wasn't long after that where my father, he came home from visiting the village. I remember we were all sitting down on this beautiful carved table. We were all sitting around there, all the siblings. And then my father just walks in casually and just sits down and then just says, oh, when are we good if we got Rubie married? And that's when the shock just hit me. It was like I froze, but my mind started falling like dominoes, because I was like, this is why they wanted us to come to Bangladesh. This was why all the meetings were happening. And then it just rolled into a snowball. And I got really, really angry. I was like, oh my God, but I'm only 15. Like, what? Why would they do this to me? I shouted at my father. I threw my food on the floor. I ran to my room. I was a teenager. I was 15. I was a child, you know. I wouldn't even call myself a teenager. I was a child. That's a mentality I had. I was very naive. You know, being slap bang in the middle of so many siblings, you know, I got away with so many things. I was very much so not mature at all to know how to get help or navigate in some sort of way into getting myself out of it. The only thing that I could think about was pleading with my male siblings and asking them, could you help? Could you talk to, you know, dad and ask him, please, 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 you know, I don't want to get married. I'll go back to school. I'll get rid of this secret boyfriend. I won't do it. Anything that you don't want me to do. And it was always a shutdown no. So I knew then that I was going to get married to anybody, and then anybody that he chooses. I had no say at all. It wasn't long after that. I remember there was like a meeting going on so in front of the house, there was like an extended like glass room, and there was a stained window, and I was just casually going to my room, to the kitchen from my room, and I knew there was a meeting going on, but I didn't really like, you know, invest in it or anything like that. I just kept myself out of the way. And I was very much so very depressed at this time. And my mum was just whispering, like saying, oh, come here, you know, and I was like, what? You know, and she pointed at she moved the curtain that had the glass stained window and opened it. And then she goes, oh, look, that's the guy that you're going to get married to. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I knew then, okay, the nightmare's starting. And then the engagement happened after that, not long. I literally didn't even meet him. I was in my room, in my bedroom. I was dressed up in a sari. I was, you know, there was gold put on me, like a gold necklace and everything. And the house was buzzing with people, you know, visitors, his side of the family. And I was just in my room. And my brothers and sisters were flying in and out of the room. I was just sitting there like a shell thinking, I can't do anything. And I was just numbing myself even more and more and more. I don't know how I'm going to get through this nightmare, but I've got to get through it.
And that was on your wedding day?
No, that was on my engagement.
That was on the engagement?
Yeah. That was a couple of weeks before the marriage. It's like it became real. I don't even know how I navigated those couple of weeks of, you know, coming to the wedding day. I just felt numb, like a shell, like a robot. I couldn't bond with my brothers and sisters either. I became isolated. I just withdrew and was just trying to get through my everyday. But every day was Groundhog Day. I was just in this cycle. I was like stuck in the matrix, so just going round, around, around, around. I remember crying all the time. I mean, on the actual wedding day, my eyes were all bruised. They had to put heavy makeup on me because all tears, wiping my eyes all the time. They like, I mean, I'm tanned, but they made me like look white to cover everything up. As you can imagine, family from far and wide were coming to this massive wedding that my father threw, you know. And you could tell it was all like funded as well from all extended members of the family, all the males, because I don't know how my father could have afforded it. How is this all being funded? So it was all a collective decision. On the wedding morning, they were doing their thing, dressing me up and everything. I was just numb. And see, my mother's heart was just breaking. She had no say. In my experience of all this, is like the women had no say at all. I just try in any sort of way just to plead with my father, and just trying to, even on the wedding day, try to get one of my cousins to say, look, just stop it. Please, I don't want to go through it. But it was a no. My father was happy as Larry. You know, everywhere, all the extended family was so happy. It was like as if he was throwing this party for his ego to like smooth the shame over and bring the reputation back to the highest of the high. I felt like an object, like you've got to trade me to gain that for your selfish ego, you know, reputation. And it felt numbing, even more numbing. I mean, how much more numb can I get? I lost faith in people, especially family, because for 15 years, that's all I knew was my family. I didn't know anything else. They're the people that's meant to protect you, to love you, to listen to you. And I just lost all that completely on that day. The groom came to the house, and that's when they brought me from my bedroom into the living room, and they sat me right next to him, and they put the veil over me, my veil over him, like a partnership symbolization kind of thing. And I looked up and I saw my father, and that was the only time I looked up. I saw my father and I clocked eyes with him. And for that moment, it was like everything went quiet. There was no one else in the room. It was just me and him. And I was trying to connect with him, saying, look, you can stop this. You can stop this. And I was crying. And he actually shed a tear. And my heart broke from then. It was like, you could have stopped this, but you didn't. When I saw that tear, it was like, I knew he didn't want it to happen, but I know there was a lot of pressure as well. But at the end of the day, you made that decision for it to go ahead. And that's when my heart broke. Every child's first love is their mother and their father. And my dad was my hero. I was his favorite. Out of all the siblings, I was his favorite. And I loved that bond that we had. So it's not like as if I didn't have a good upbringing. I had a great upbringing. I had a good connection with my father and my mother. You know, I saw healthy relationships. So it's like the extreme of like seen all that and witnessing that. And then it totally flipped. And I couldn't quite balance that in my head. I just couldn't understand why he didn't save me. So I didn't see the age difference so when I turned 16, they did the wedding certificates again, but they changed the date. And then I looked at it and I was like, what? So I saw his name and his date of birth, and I was like, what? He's twice my age. I was like what? You know, he's 30 and I was 15 at the time when we got married. How could they do this to me? Like, even that is like a violation. You might as well, like, did they sell me to this man to have his way with a child? I also found out around that time that one of my uncles was putting me on a bidding system, which shocked me. And there was a lot of family feuds going on as well when the family found out that he was making money out of me. But just before the wedding day anyway, we had an uncle that lived with us, and he actually put me on the pill secretly. And I was like, what is this? And he said, because me and him got close, you know, like we would talk a lot and have a joke and everything. And he gave me the pill and he said, take these every day and you won't get pregnant. And I was like, why are you helping me? And he goes, well, I can't stand to see you like this. He gave me the pill, and then I actually was on my period as well. So I was like, oh, nothing's going to happen tonight because I'm on my period. And then I think I took the first pill on the first day that I finished my period, because it was only a couple of days. I think it was 3 days after the wedding day. And then I took it religiously. But that's when all this started. The would happen continuously. I was in that marriage for 3 months. So you can imagine, like, 3 months of continuous it's like I had no body left. I only had a soul. And I would always, when that was happening to me, my soul would be going somewhere else. Because I was numb. My body wasn't mine. And I started to hear whispers then of like, oh, why is she not getting pregnant? Oh, this or that. His side of the family was. I remember his sister, so I sat down and I remember his sister just threw the pill at me, like dashed it into my face. And I was going, oh gosh. She went through all my belongings. She found them and she humiliated me. And she said, this is why she's not getting married. And she was angry. The mother and father were angry. His mother and father were angry as well. It's like as if I brought shame onto them. And they were shouting. And I was going, oh God, what am I going to do now? Because I've just lost that one bit of protection that I could have had. I then got pregnant after that. It wasn't long. I was a developed young lady, you know, at the age of 15. And, you know, I got pregnant straight away. And that shocked me even more because I was like, one trauma after another, and now I'm pregnant. What am I going to do? But the only thing in my head was like, that was getting me through day by day was like, just get home, do what they say, do anything that they say, let them do whatever they want to your body, let them say whatever they want to, let them shout at you. I even did get smacked across the face by him as well. You know, there was some DV in there. In my head, I was like, when I get home, I'm going to get an abortion. So like all these things, it's like, have you seen the film Taken? It's like that. It was literally like that. I'm taken away. I'm putting on this bidding system, you know, and my uncle had photos of me as well, which he was showing everybody, like, oh, she's a British, you know, this is my niece. And that shocked me. It deflated my trust in anybody. And then it just hit me hard when I got pregnant. And I was like, my body was shutting down because I'm going through and I'm going through things that I don't want to do. My mind is starting to deteriorate into mush because I can't even find who Rubie is anymore. And it was just so difficult to grasp onto anything that's reality even more, because when it was happening, I have no body. It's just a soul that I've got. And I was taking myself to, and I grew up in a small town in Wales, right next to the coast. I was taking myself to the beach all the time. That was my safe place of where I felt somewhere I can go in my mind and just relax, forget about what's happening to my body. So there was this massive dissociation with a split with my body and my mind. It felt like even more when I got pregnant. I soon fell sick, and it wasn't morning sickness. I remember he got sick, the husband got sick, and then I started to get sick, but then my sickness turned really, really, really profoundly detrimental. I started to lose consciousness. I was bedbound. I started losing so much weight. It was only two weeks I was bedbound, and I must have lost like 2 stones. I'm a slim girl anyway, and I just looked like a bag of bones. I couldn't tell what day it was, what time of the day it was. I couldn't lift myself to go, like just to lift my upper body up off the bed. I couldn't eat, I couldn't drink. There was nothing going inside me. Mum actually went and got doctors from far and wide. She must have got like 5 different doctors. Every single one of them said, take her home, she's gonna die here. She's gonna die. But at this point in time, my father actually did come home to the UK because he was preparing for us to come back as a family. But he was preparing only my siblings and my mother to come back to the UK, not me. They wanted me to stay with him, have my baby there, and then come through the immigration as a family. So all this was like checklist ticked. Mastermind plan. It's only because I got really, really sick, and it was a blessing in disguise. Otherwise I wouldn't have come back to the UK. And I came back in the April. And I got married in the December. So I was there for a while, being married and everything by this person, you know, against my will, and getting pregnant as well. And when I got back to the UK, I sat in my bedroom and I just didn't feel like me anymore. It's like everything changed. I felt so displaced. It was horrible. I mean, I had no contact with my friends. I wasn't allowed to go outside. It was just like the same thing that happened in Bangladesh was literally carried on and happened in the UK. I wasn't allowed to go back to school, wasn't allowed to go to work or, because I was 16, I wanted to work. I had dreams, I had aspirations. I wanted to do all those things. And I couldn't take it no more. So I took it. And then my mother found me vomiting, and she called my auntie, and my father was in work, and she was like, oh my God, she's taken. My auntie came and she was like lifting me up, trying to get all the out of my system, swearing at me, shouting at me, saying, you brought more shame to the family now. And I was just a disappointment. Anyway, you could tell by the state of me, I had to go to hospital. Went to hospital, they actually put the IV in me, and the IV stayed in me, because when they tried to put the IV in me in Bangladesh, it would shoot back out of my nothing was staying or to like fulfill my body with good stuff. I was there for a couple of days, but when my family went after visiting times, there was this one nurse that actually came to me. And I wish I knew her name, because she was like an angel sent to me. And she came and she said, you're very young. You want an abortion, don't you? And I said, yeah. But she didn't ask any more questions to that. If she asked more questions, I think I would have just blurted everything out to her and said, save me. I've been through this, this, and this. But I was petrified. I was so scared. I just turned 16, I was just naive. I was a baby having a baby. It was just, I couldn't handle it. I remember the next day I had a scan, and on the scan I had the heartbeat, my baby's heart beating. And I looked at it, I was like, what's all this blurry stuff? And they were like, that's the heartbeat. And I was like, oh. And it's just like, I don't know, the universe just slapped me in the face, and I couldn't go through it. I was like, no. I can't take this life. I kind of accepted I'm pregnant, and I kept my baby. And during this time, when I kept my baby, it was like the little bit of grain of sand of positivity that I had left in me, I put it towards the pregnancy. It felt like that was the only thing that I had to live for. And that time during the whole pregnancy, it was slow. Baby was underweight. I had a tiny little bump. And during this time, they were trying to sort out, my family were trying to sort out the immigration paperwork and all that kind of stuff to bring him over. I mean, I remember him sending letters to the house, love letters and things like that. So it's evidence then to show immigration. Oh, they've got a great bond, and oh, this la-di-da stuff. And I had to write letters, and it was like, oh God, this is sickening, do you know what I mean? But I knew I'm pregnant now, and financially I can't get out of the house to run away myself, because how am I going to look after myself and this baby? But it wasn't until one of my siblings actually got a part-time job, and he worked in a restaurant. And when I would always call him to bring food, after work, can you just bring a takeout home? And, it was be free for him to bring it home and stuff like that. I was like, oh, could you get me more food? Because I was pregnant. And it was late on the latter end of my pregnancy. That's when I sparked up this conversation with this guy that used to take the phone calls. And he had a different accent. It was a Midlands accent. And then I started to talk to him more and more. And that's how I built this bond, I would say. But I saw it as a desperation ticket out of getting out of the house. If I spark up this, he'll save me. I gave birth, and then I had my daughter. But my daughter was put in special care. I was emergency cesarean, special care unit straight away. They started to investigate, the doctors started to investigate what was happening, because my baby was so underweight, which shocked me even more, because I was like, what's happening? I put my last bit of positivity into this child, and now my child's been affected. And I had no power, I was powerless. And they then the doctors told me, oh, she's handicapped. We don't know to what extent. Time will tell. My baby was away from me. She was in the hospital. I was at home for 3 months. I couldn't bond with her at all. And that was difficult, because I felt like I wasn't even a parent, that I wasn't even a mother. But then I kind of re-sparked the bond with that guy. I saw one of my friends outside, because we lived on a main road. I saw one of my school friends out through the window. And I was going, oh my God, I haven't seen her for ages, because I wasn't allowed to see anybody. And I know some of my friends have come to the house to see me, but they were shunned away. Something inside me just said, run out of the house, go to her. So I went to her and I said, you've got to help me. I need to get out. And she was like, Rubie, I haven't seen you for ages. I goes, I know. And I was crying my eyes out. So I went to her house. Her mother and father helped me. They got onto the phone to the police. They came the next day, and her mother and father and myself went down to my parents' house. I was still in the car, and it took the police 6 hours for me to get my baby out of the house. 6 hours. And my father worked with the police as well. He was an interpreter. So he was he knew one of the police officers that was actually came to the house, and he was like, she's just having a tantrum. She doesn't know what she's saying. And I was like, no, I know what I'm saying. I want to get my baby. I want to go. And then as we were in the car waiting, I could see a flock of family members driving up to the house, getting in. They were having a meeting of what to do. And I knew I was bringing more shame to them. And it was another dilemma, with their meetings, but this one wasn't secret. It was blatantly happening. Then finally getting a female police officer, she escorted me into the house. I went upstairs. I saw my members of the family snarling at me. I just looked down, went upstairs, got a Tesco bag, filled it with my baby's clothes, grabbed my baby, and I walked out. And my friends' parents, I think they bought me the ticket to go to the Midlands. But little did I know, when I got to the Midlands, that ended up in a 5-year domestic violence relationship. And it was severe, where I've had to my throat, where he would kill me. I had a child with him as well. And he would always play my daughter and my son against each other. It was like, oh, but he's my son, but she's your daughter. It was like he was trying to test my loyalties, using my kids as pawns. And I just couldn't understand why somebody would be so kind to me, get me out of the situation, and then I'm slap bang in the same position I was a year ago, over a year and a half ago. I just completely lost myself. My health started to deteriorate. I started to lose so much weight. My hair would snap. I was looking just like bones, and no clothes would fit me. I was getting bruises on my face and things like that. And, came to a point at a time where my daughter had to start attending special play groups. And that's where I met somebody that it was a really, really good friend at the time. And she was noticing all these things happening, and she actually got me out of the relationship. It was very, very frightening. He actually locked me in a kitchen. He put all the gas knobs on. He was trying to suffocate. He beat me black and blue. My kids were outside of the door crying, trying to get in. They were toddlers. They wanted their mum. And I was screaming, shouting, and he locked me in this kitchen. And he had a lot of mental health issues as well. And he was heavily on as well. When I say proper addictive. When you've been disowned and you're trapped, a lot of people say when you just get out, when you just walk away. You can't. I'm in a city that I don't know anybody. I've got no family. I've got nothing. All I knew was him. And all I was doing was being another slave for him. And I've got 2 children now, and I didn't know where to go. When that incident happened, and he had as well, and he was carving it into the floor, and he was saying, oh, you don't understand me. If I can't have you, no one can. So it's the typical perpetrator stuff. And he actually did engrave his name on my body with that knife. So I was his possession. He found a vulnerable girl, and he just did the exact same, not even worse, what all the other perpetrators did to me. When I was talking about this girl that I met through the special play groups, I remembered where she lived because she told me. So while that incident was happening in the kitchen, it sprung to me, even though the gas knobs, all the knobs were on, and it was filling up with gas, and I was losing myself a little bit because I was so exhausted from the beatings. Then I'm inhaling gas. He had to go to the toilet. So he opened the door and he went to the toilet, and I thought, this is my moment to leave. I grabbed my children, threw them I had a double buggy, threw them in there. And I remembered what road she lived on. It wasn't far from me. And I ran to her house. I saw him running after me, but I ran to her house and I called the police, and it's all reported and everything. And then for a further 5 years on then, being with him for 5 years, and then a further 5 years on, I was battling through court cases, trying to get him away from my kids. He was stalking me. I had a restraining order on him, everything. And it was frightening the way he was stalking me. He'd call up the house saying, oh, I like what you're wearing today. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, like, where is he? So there was a lot of that going on. But the courts then did decide that he cannot ever, ever come near me or my children, directly or indirectly. From then, I found myself in dysfunctional relationships all the time, because I was craving for, foremost, my father. I needed someone to show me love, to look after me. It kind of started changing, and I started to build confidence in my mid-20s, because as I was taken out of school and I didn't finish my GCSEs, I went to Learn Direct, and I started to do my GCSEs, finished it. I started to do counselling skills, so I learned how to do counselling skills from level 1 to 3. And I thought to myself, okay, I want to go to university. Why not? You know, and I started to build that confidence in myself. And then I went to university and I went and studied integrative counselling. And I was 30 years old, so I was a mature student. In those courses, you are counselled yourself to then, as you're going to be a counsellor, you're counselled yourself. I started to have counselling, and then I started to learn about all the theories that was presented by the university to us to learn about. And I started to apply it to myself. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're very messed up, Rubie. Because I'm like, wow, I could relate to all these different types of theories. And I was going, wow, it was a shocker. I really shocked my, you know. So for it to be seen on paper in black and white, and I can relate to it, I was like, I needed therapy. So I continued the therapy. I dropped out of uni for personal reasons, but I continued the therapy. That went on for 250 hours of therapy. That's a long time. And then I started to develop my love for holistic therapy, and I'm a yoga teacher now. And I started to apply everything and put myself through all those grueling, you know, therapies, and, you know, seeing a mirror, looking in the mirror and saying, who are you really? And I started to apply everything. And then I became healthier and healthier in my body, in my mindset. I was a healthier mum for my kids. I'm so glad I did not turn to like alcoholism, or I wasn't an addict or anything, but it was there. I did go through that, seeing my son's father go through it and seeing it happen. But I never turned to that. I turned to like, my kids, I've got to keep them safe. And I started to develop then my own self-worth. I mean, I then found myself doing, Sony Ericsson phones came out with a slide for the cameras. And I remember a friend saying, oh, you're so photogenic, Rubie. You know, why don't you do something with it? I was going, oh, what am I supposed to do? She bought me this makeover day in a studio in Birmingham. So I went and I loved it. So I then started doing more of that. And then I was scouted to be in a pageant in the Philippines. It was an LA team, scouted me to go to the Philippines. And I got on myself on Facebook, and I started to raise the funds to sponsor me to go there. So I went there. And that was the first time I ever spoke about my horrific experiences. There was 50 women from around the world. I was representing Wales. I just felt so empowered by these women. I was like, wow, they've all got something to bring to the table. I didn't win the pageant, but I was top 15, which is an achievement. And I was single mom as well. So I represented the single moms. And that's where everything changed then, because I got the buzz for that, came back to the UK, and I got myself into doing another pageant system, and I won it. I won the national title, and then I went to win the international title. And then it was like a streak of just winning and winning and winning. And I won all the awards as well, like best gown, best bikini body, all this kind of stuff. And I found for myself being my best version of myself. It was my spirit. My spirit was high. My spirit was back with me. My spirit was driving my soul and my body together. I felt like all these compartments were being put together again. And I found myself, starting to find myself. I started to find myself working with different charities and having the platform of that as well. And then I just drew all the best parts and everything that the universe was putting towards me. It's like, this is my mission. All that had to happen to me for me to do all this good stuff. And I've been doing it for 10 years now. And I found myself, and I cannot not say, this is probably the first time I'm ever going to say this, is that this is the first time I actually feel like I know who Rubie is, because I've never had a chance before. I was finding bits of her, but I would say now is definitely me. I'm Rubie, and I just love being me now.